Tashi Buddhi Jushin Meto Cha Vira Peshi Nende Mari Sanye Shingu Mite Guardi Toku Nanda Shuma Chupa Shugo Inam Guru Natamara Tamayatayami Sanye Tsongkhapa, Samsu Bardu Daki Gyatsu, Daki Jinyen Gibe Tsunami, Chola Bensu Sangye Tupasho, Sangye Chidam Tsaki Tsongkhapa, Samsu Bardu Daki Gyatsu, Daki Jinyen Gibe Tsunami, Chola Bensu Sangye Tupasho, Sangye Chidam Tsaki Tsongkhapa, Samsu Bardu Daki Gyatsu, Daki Jinyen Gibe Tsunami, Chola Bensu Sangye Tupasho.
Those prayers were in Tibetan, and the reason why I still continue to do prayers in Tibetan is because usually if people don't know what they're saying, they're really inspired in doing it. When I grew up in Catholicism, everything was done in Latin. And when you don't know what you're praying, then it seems very holy. But then when you realize what you're getting yourself into in the English, you're like, well, maybe this isn't for me, really, really caring about everybody. I mean, and giving up stuff, and so Tsongkhapa used to make a joke that, best you just, throw Sanskrit, which at the time, Buddhism originated in northern India and then came into Tibet, and so there are a lot of the original teachings were in Sanskrit, so always leave some Sanskrit in the teaching so that people get inspired, especially if they don't know what they're doing. It's always cool if some foreign language you're studying or praying to, it always seems cooler. This text is kind of like the Buddhism for Dummies. It's kind of like Tsongkhapa, who started our lineage. Traditionally, there's 4 Tibetan Buddhist lineage: Nyingma, Kagyu, Sakya, and Gelug. Tsongkhapa was the founder of the Gelug lineage. It's kind of a reformist lineage, and he wrote these 14 verses to encompass the entire path. One would go from a suffering human being, like we all are, to a Buddha, an enlightened being, a totally omniscient, blissful, no longer suffering being. So it's kind of like Buddhism for dummies. It's like, okay, if you can't study more of the, like the Lamrim Chenmo or more of the extended texts, here it is, 14 verses, the entire path. He wrote it for a beloved student named Tsongkhapa, who had done exactly as Tsongkhapa asked him to do, and started a bunch of temples. He was sent to start a bunch of temples and monasteries all across Tibet. And he did his job, and he sent a letter back to Tsongkhapa and said, now I need something to teach these people because they're savages. Because Tibet in that time, not many people were literate. So what the majority of what you believed as a Buddhist practitioner back then came from your Lama's ear. I mean, your Lama's mouth to your ear, it's just like oral transmission, because not many people were learned. So Tsongkhapa gave him this teaching to help these people who don't, who are illiterate yak herders and nomads, to teach them. So being that this is the last class, I'm just going to rifle through the entire text, do a sum up, and then we're going to do a meditation. Okay. The commentary we'll be using is Pabongka Rinpoche's Key That Unlocks the Door to the Noble Path. Pabongka Rinpoche is a 19th to 20th century Lama who my Khenpo, or my Buddhist abbot, who I took monk's vows under, he studied with for many years in Tibet. And he was kind of like one of the most popular kind of rock star teachers of Tibet. They even carved his books before he died. It's kind of like generally poets and saints in Tibet only had their teachings carved into woodblock prints only after they died. Kind of like poets. Poets only get famous after they're dead. Same thing with Buddhist teachers. Usually they're only famous. Pabongka Rinpoche was so famous that they carved his books before he passed away. That means he really packed the halls, packed them in.